Jairzinho versus JDS. That mustache, my goodness. The Rocky music and the mustache, and then the BG Boys. So many different vibes. It was a good fight. It was a good first round, and then the BG Boy connected, and it was a wrap on Jair dos Santos because I believe he's a little bit long in the tooth. He's a little bit well done on the steak, and I don't know how much JDS has left. And look, Jairzinho is back in the top 5 with his only loss being that 20-second pinball machine. So look, who is he going to fight? Curtis Blades. If Stipe looks like he's going to face Francis Ngannou, a little forecasting, but it looks like Stipe is going to hang around and fight Ngannou pretty soon. So that leaves what? The Black Beast and Blades. So that leaves Jairzinho kind of on the outside looking in right now. Who the heck does Jairzinho fight? If DC was like, you know what, I'm going to give it one more run, well, boom, you have the fight right there. DC can come back and do that fight, right? But DC is out of there. So I don't know what's for Jairzinho. Maybe, no, he already repped out. I don't know. I can't think of, maybe Fabricio Verdum would actually be a good fight for Jairzinho. I think a big name. It's a big name.
I don't know. Verdum's what, he's ranked like 12th or something though. So I doubt
he's just there to obliterate legends, okay? And that's what he's there to. That's his course right now. They're building him up WWE style, okay? Because he got ransacked by Francis Ngannou. If you want to sell that rematch down the road, what's the one highlight you have of the first fight? The fight. So they got to really have Jairzinho yoked up in the prelims and in his other fights before he gets to the title, right? So in the end, good for JDS. I mean, they were like buddies after. He's not look like he wasn't seriously hurt.
In the background, you know, they're just chilling, smiling, laughing, having a good time.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be healthy. He'll go back to his family. He lives to fight another day, and Jairzinho moves up in the rankings.
But that fight, you know, it was these fights, sort of what I expected it to be, both staring at each other because, you know, in heavyweight, one punch, that's it, good night.
That's the problem with heavyweight fights. It's either like death or stalemate.
Exactly. They knew that from the get-go, and, you know, he looked done when he got hit with that. It was a beautiful, it was a right hook. Even though it was an overhand right, I think it was. Dropped JDS, you know, Rozenstruik got on him, battering him. JDS managed to get up, got knocked straight down again, fight over, lights out.
Right.
Bob's your uncle. It was a brutal knockout, and he's lying on the floor after. Rozenstruik celebrating, and it's just, for some reason, people in the heavier divisions, the light heavyweight and heavy divisions, the old guys seem to be just sticking around. You know, you've got JDS.
You get your old man strength, and you stick around long enough to use your fight IQ, I think.
I know, but it's just crazy, especially with the more power in those divisions. You look at JDS, that's 3 consecutive knockout losses in a row. But not just any heavyweights. That's Ngannou, Derek Lewis, and Rozenstruik.
Right.
See, he must have lost about half his brain in those 3 fights combined.
And he lost the other half in the Cain Velasquez trilogy.
But you know, exactly. But you know what? The most important thing is the tash. It stayed intact.
That's it.
You know, it probably protected him a bit there. You know,
he
with
needs to keep
all
it.
of its power.
He needs to keep it.
He needs to keep it and just see how long it grows. You know, one of those bandit ones, a Western. I think you should go for them.
Right.
He used to turn, so instead of looking like a retired LAPD officer, he goes into Red Dead Redemption 2. But back on the fight, yeah, it was a clean knockout. But with Rozenstruik, it seems like what we had a year or two ago, he's kind of like the Dustin Poirier when he was in lightweight division. You know, with all these fights happening, there's, you know, what do you do with him? He's like kind of he's the good guy, but he's not the really, really good guy. Because I think there's fights set up for, like we've already said, Ngannou, Stipe, and Lewis and Blades. And there's talk of John Jones, but I think Dana doesn't want to do that right now.
No.
John Jones needs to fight Reyes, at least, again.
Close the book on that.
Yeah, Ngannou, as he said, has to get the next shot. No hands down. He deserves it. That will really prove it. And I think it'd be a good idea to Rozenstruik maybe wait a bit and see what happens with the next couple of fights with other people and just see where they are and take it from there. Right. Or, as you said, he could fight over Doom, or, you know, Overeem would be a good fight again.
Jairzinho already wrecked Overeem, though.
But considering Overeem was actually winning every second of that fight, and it was like a last-minute knockout. So that would be something interesting to see again, to see if he could handle Overeem all over again and not just rely on one punch. That would be interesting, and it would definitely prepare him for when he faces the likes of Blades and all that, because, you know, Overeem's a great all-rounded guy, and if you were to beat him again, then he's more than ready to try and dethrone Lewis and Ngannou again, maybe. So we'll have to wait and see.